Leave me alone. Clarice, I'm sorry. Listen to me. Why are you behaving like this? You need to calm down. Just stop. I've had enough. Babe, I said I'm sorry. It's our first anniversary. Don't be like this. You are out of your mind. That was the last time Will saw her. Clarice never returned. Will was devastated and shattered, regretting that night, regretting letting her go. If only he had stopped her. For days, Will searched everywhere. He tried everything. He searched for her at the store she went to, the gym, her work. He searched the entire neighborhood, but Clarice was nowhere to be found. Will even went to the extent of putting up missing persons posters all over the neighborhood and posted online on every website he could think of, from BI Facebook to BI Craigslist, offering $2.5 grand in return for any information of his love and life, Clarice. But almost 6 months had passed, and there was no news of Clarice from anywhere. Until one evening, Will received a message on BI Craigslist from a certain Mr. Han. I saw your missing persons post for the woman named Clarice. Yes, that's my wife. Have you seen her? I think I know where your wife is, or at least someone who looks just like your wife, but I'm not sure because she doesn't go by the same name. Any information will be very helpful. I can help you out, but I was wondering if the offer is legitimate. Yes, for sure. 2.5 grand. Or if you have found her, I'll pay you whatever you ask for. Where did you see her? I live in Chesterfield, and I've seen her here. I'll try to contact her and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much. You don't know how big of a favor you're doing me. She's my everything, my life. Not a day goes by when I don't think of her. Don't worry, I'll try my best. When Mr. Han first saw the post online, he got a strange feeling he had seen this woman Clarice before. She looked oddly similar to a woman who lived a few houses down from him. Her hair and looks were a bit different, but the more Mr. Han thought about it, he was sure the faces were the same. And besides finding a missing person, Mr. Han could really use the money. So, over the next few days, he kept an eye on his neighbor. He noted down when she left her house and when she returned, the places she went to and where she worked. And one evening, while she was returning home, Mr. Han followed her and finally decided to approach her. Hello, I'm your neighbor. I live just a few houses down the block from you, but we've never been introduced. I'm Mr. Han. Nice to meet you. I'm Sydney. I thought your name was Clarice. All of a sudden, the woman looked at Mr. Han in shock. How did you know this name? I know your husband. He's been searching for you. My husband? Will? Hearing his name, a look of fright appeared on her face as she shook her head. No, he's not my husband. I don't even know him. It all started about a year ago. Before Clarice moved to Chesterfield, she was living in Crosswell all by herself. One night, Clarice had gone to a party by the lakeside with one of her co-workers. That was the first time she had met Will. And though at first he seemed like a decent guy, he was handsome and attractive, Clarice was quick to sense there was something not right about him. She was enjoying herself when Will casually joined her and started talking as if he had known her whole life. "You look beautiful tonight." Thank you? Don't you think it's getting a bit late? We should head home. Excuse me? What do you mean we should head home? You want to spend the entire night here on the lake? You might be looking for someone else. Who else would I be looking for, Clarice? How do you know my name? What kind of question is that? I'm your husband, Will. Alright, I think you've had a bit too much to drink. Sweetheart, you know very well I never drink, and you also know who's the heavy drinker between us. I just met you 5 minutes ago, and you're saying we're married. Alright, you're not in your senses. Let's go. Just as Will tried to grab hold of her, Clarice pulled away, shocked. Don't touch me. Clarice, you need to calm down and trust me. Leave me alone. Is everything alright here? Yeah, let's go. That day, Clarice managed to go off with her coworker. But that encounter turned out to be the first incident. In the coming weeks, Clarice started to feel as if someone were following her. And soon, she realized it was the same man from the lakeside. She saw him outside her workplace. While she was shopping at the store. And sometimes when she was jogging out at the park. Clarice somehow managed to get away from him one way or the other. But things only got worse from there. She realized Will would be waiting for her till she left work. Who is he? I don't know. He's been stalking me. Sometimes she felt like she was being followed back to her house. Whenever she came home, she felt like someone had already been there. Whenever she slept, she felt like someone was around her, watching her. Who's there? Things came to the point where Clarice started to fear traveling alone or even being alone in her own house. And it was one of these nights. Will had almost gotten to her. Clarice, how long will you be avoiding me? Stop pretending like you know me. I don't know you. Sweetheart, I think we've played your game for long enough now. You're crazy. Leave me alone. Clarice, I'm sorry. Listen to me. Why are you behaving like this? You need to calm down. Just stop. I've had enough. Babe, I said I'm sorry. It's our first anniversary. Don't be like this. You are out of your mind. Clarice was sick and anxiety by everything that was happening. And in all this, when she began to lose her mind, she decided she decided to leave Crosswell and move to the city. She left behind everything and thought she would start over. She changed her identity and looks, and with a new number and address, she finally got away from this freak. But now, even after a year, it seemed the psychotic stalker had his ways of finding her. Clarice stared at Mr. Han in shock. He's not my husband. He's a stalker. Where did you meet him? Did you tell him anything about me? No. I wasn't sure whether he was speaking of you. I told him I would get back to him, but now that I know, don't worry. I won't tell anyone anything about you. Thank you. With that, Clarice turned and hurried down the road. Mr. Han watched her, now utterly confused. Is she telling the truth? Is he really her stalker? So that night, Mr. Han contacted Will again. Mr. Han, have you found out anything about Clarice? Yes, but I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. Why not? Who are you really? What do you mean? I've spoken to Clarice, and she told me she isn't your wife, nor does she even know you. You're a stalker. Oh, that's the case. Mr. Han, I should have told you this before. My wife is just playing games with you. She has a mental health condition. Is that so? When I spoke to her, she seemed completely sane. She's like that. She manipulates people, and I'm afraid if I leave her on her own, she will end up in danger. Please, Mr. Han, you have to believe me. She needs help. After a long day, Clarice returned to her house. But instead of relief, she felt her anxiety build on. Her hands were shaking as she thought about everything. Will was after her again. He had come so close to finding her again. Was it safe for her to be here? Time was ticking. That night, before going to bed, Clarice double-locked all her doors and windows. She kept a knife under her bed just in case, and lay wide awake much of the night. But nothing happened. Nothing happened in the next few days, and soon a week went by. Everything seemed fine. Clarice started to feel alright again, and she went back to her normal life. Now and then, when she passed by Mr. Han, they waved at each other. Hello, Mr. Han. Hello. He turned out to be a good man, and Clarice felt safe and sound here in Chesterfield. It was one evening, after work. The weather had become horrible. It was pouring rain out. Clarice managed to rush home soaking in the rain. She let out a deep breath and stepped into the dark house, taking off her wet jacket and her boots. She planned to drop right into bed. But the minute she turned on her bedroom lights, she froze. There by the window, he stood. As he turned to her, Clarice didn't wait a second and scrambled to take the knife out of her drawer and held it up at him. So, you're hiding from me here? Stay away from me. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Put that down. Have you lost your mind? It's not me. It's you. Sweetheart, I'm here to help you. You know I would never give up on you. I searched everywhere. I did everything. I'm sorry it took so long. As Will neared her, Clarice backed away yelling, "Get away from me!" But Will slowly approached her. "It's all right. Everything's going to be fine." Mr. Han woke up to the rain pouring heavily out. He could hear the sounds of police sirens, men talking outside. He got up and checked out his window to see Clarice's house was blocked off by police and ambulance. Mr. Han widened his eyes in shock as the police brought out a cadaver from her house. "Officer, we found a body. It's a man." "Will?" He was right. She is crazy. She took his life. Mr. Han immediately grabbed his raincoat and headed across the street. He stood there trying to get a glimpse of the body as the police inspected it. But when he did, he was simply baffled. It wasn't Will, but someone else. Who is he? After speaking to Clarice, Mr. Han had spoken to Will again. And from what he said, Mr. Han fell in doubt who was saying the truth. But it was then Will offered him something more. "Mr. Han, my wife needs help, and I'm willing to do anything for her safety. I will pay you double." So, for the $5,000, Mr. Han had given up all Clarice's information to Will that night. But now, seeing all this, he was in doubt again. What was going on? Was she really his wife? Or was he her stalker? And who is he? Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.